Hi, Tamarindo listeners. This is a rough week for our beloved Los Angeles, the home of this podcast. Several of our Tamarindo past guests have lost their homes, and thousands have been directly affected. We are thinking about everyone whose lives have been disrupted by this massive disaster, and we're also inspired by everyone who's stepping up to help. It is against this painful backdrop that we start this season of Tamarindo, reflecting on this moment with our guest, Wendy Amara. Wendy is a life and business coach who empowers women to achieve their next level career, life, and business goals. As a proud daughter of Guatemalan immigrants and a mom of 3, including a pair of twins, she brings heart, resilience, and real-life wisdom to her coaching practice. We also have an exciting announcement to share. Wendy Amara is joining Encuentro, our restorative retreat in Puebla, Mexico, May 2nd through the 6th. With expertise in managing overwhelm, Wendy is teaming up with us to lead powerful conversations on managing burnout from a place of calm and clarity. Delcy will be back soon. Let's hear from Wendy now. Welcome to
Tamarindo Podcast.
Hosted by me, Brenda Gonzalez, a fitness coach, political nerd, and nonprofit capacity builder.
And me, Delcy Sandoval, a Guatemalan American licensed therapist and passionate creativity advocate. Together, we're here to uplift our community through powerful conversations with changemakers, creatives, and healers.
Each week on the pod, we talk politics, culture, and personal development. Listeners call Tamarindo the Advocacy and Self-Love Podcast. Vámonos!
Let's start the show.
Welcome, Wendy Amara, to Tamarindo. What we like to do is we like to do a temperature check. We're recording in Los Angeles. So if anybody's following the news, you might have a sense of what our temperature might be. It's caliente. Wendy, how are you? What's on your mind? ¿Qué pasa?
Yes, hello, Miss Brenda. Thank you so much for having me on the Tamarindo podcast. And yes, my heart is heavy today on this Friday because of the destruction that I have seen all around Los Angeles. Some of the parts of Los Angeles are, definitely a lot of parts are unrecognizable because of how horrific this fire was and how quickly it spread, right? It looks like Pacific Palisades as a city is gone. That's the feeling I get anyways. And then this morning, I'm waking up to so many messages of people who lost homes, especially in the Pasadena, Altadena area. Wow. I'm just so shocked at the amount of people that have lost, what they considered everything in a couple of hours, right? Your whole life could be gone in less than an hour. You leave your house with your car and your family and your animals, and you don't know, are you ever going to come back? Oh, yeah. So my nervous system is a little bit deregulated this morning. There's a little bit of anxiety, I think, in the air for all of us. And there's some beautiful people stepping up to support, people donating, donation centers open, people are opening up their homes, people are buying out hotels so that some of the fire victims have a place to stay. So there's also that beauty of humanity, the beauty that is the reminder, right? That we're all one. We really are all on this planet together in this experience together.
Yes, exactly. So listeners, we're recording on the Friday of the week of the Los Angeles fires. And as we like to start this up, the Tamarindo episodes, always it's the temperature check. And yes, I'm sure many of you listeners, we know so many of our listeners are in Los Angeles, so you all can relate to the roller coaster of emotions that many of us are feeling. And if you're not in Los Angeles, just even observing, I want to say that it's been very touching to get so many direct text messages from people that know that Tamarindo's in Los Angeles, just knowing, checking in, like, how are you doing? And so thank you, everyone that's shown some concern. I know many people want to support. We'll put some links on the notes of this episode of some of the ways you could support. There's endless funds. I do want to take a second to just call out one thing. One thing that several of my friends noticed from the beginning is just thinking about Pacific Palisades. That loss is tremendous. What people don't often recognize is that with the loss of homes like that, there's also a whole other community that staffs those homes. the people that take care of those children, the people that clean those homes, the people that manicure those lawns. So there's tremendous loss, disruption to those folks. And many of these could be folks that are undocumented, folks that don't have access to, don't feel safe to access certain relief funds, or certain relief funds don't even think of them. So there are endless ways that you can help. But the fund that I'm going to link in the show notes of this episode is specifically for those members of the community. And it is by the Inclusive Action. So you all can read more about that fund. We've shared it on our socials as well. If you are thinking of a way that you can help from wherever you are, even just $5, whatever you're able to support, that's one way. So yes, I'm glad we took a minute to just kind of recognize what we're all feeling. It's a mixture of emotions. There's also a little bit of guilt if your house didn't burn down, or if you, for instance, I'm recording actually in Orange County. My parents have a home here, so I was able to kind of get away. I was in a dangerous zone and I thought, let's be proactive, let's get away. I have a place to go. So it feels, there's also kind of a little bit of survivor's guilt.
Yeah.
Or guilt because you don't have the problems that many families are facing right now. So I want to also call that out.
Yes, no, that is true. I'm in the same boat where luckily we were safe, although we were in between two fires that had the fires kept going. I don't know what we would have done because there was a fire in Acton, there was a fire in Selmar, and I'm in Santa Clarita. But my parents were without power for 3 days. So I told them to come here, right? I was like, come out to our house because we have power. So we forget that also, along with the devastation of houses, some people just their lives have been altered because there's no power, there's not adequate drinking water, right? Some places still don't have good water. So, and at the same time, what you're talking about, the guilt of like, well, we're just talking about electricity and water, right? The guilt of like, we still have homes. And I say, so how can we use that abundance that is still in our lives to support, right? To bring forth more funds for this fund that you're talking about, for example. Yes. Who is not the first people that we think of when, society thinks of let's help people? It's usually the homeowners in these kind of situations, but it takes a certain amount of privilege even to own a home. So what about the workers who are going to be really affected? The people who are like one step away, right, from being homeless or one step away from not having their bills paid. Thank you so much, Brenda, for bringing that to our attention, to the forefront of our mind. Yes.
And I'll just leave listeners with one more thought related to this crisis is that luckily we have a lot of listeners that happen to be therapists. And in fact, one of our partners, Danny, who is a therapist, called out a really important reminder that some folks might be feeling this guilt, might be feeling like they aren't able to help is to the extent that they want to. The first thing to do really is to take care of yourself. If you need to take care of your mental health, if you need a break, if you need to get off scrolling, that's really what's more important. Like put that oxygen mask on yourself first before helping others. And also know that this is going to be a long recovery. There's going to be many, many ways for you to plug in. It doesn't have to happen this week. It doesn't have to happen next week. There's going to be many, many ways that you can help, whether it's a little, whether it's a lot. There's going to be plenty of opportunities because this will be a long recovery. So those are our thoughts on this week. We wanted to definitely acknowledge what's happening there. And now I also want to shift gears a little bit because the reason why we're starting our 2025 Tamarindo with Wendy as the guest is because we have a super exciting announcement for our listeners. So I'm very excited to share that Wendy is joining the Encuentro team. And it's going to be so much fun. So you have heard us talk a lot about this retreat that we're having in May 2nd through the 6th in Puebla, Mexico, our second time that we're doing this Encuentro retreat. It's going to be so much fun. And now we're bringing Wendy Amara on. Wendy, I want to know, what about Encuentro speaks to you and your personal mission? And in answering that, tell us a little bit about your personal why that leads your work.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brenda. I have always been inspired by being around powerful women. And I think the women that we're calling in for Encuentro and the women that have participated in the past, like last year, are all really powerful women who are making an impact in our community, right? And my instinct was like, well, do I want to be in a room with these women? Hell yes. And that's one of the actual things that I think is beautiful about sometimes when you're in a crisis moment or when there are situations that happen that really bring clarity to your life, right? Is that things get really black or white in terms of like, I'm a hell yes or I'm a hell no. And you either feel something instinctively or you don't. And this was a hell yes for me because it was also a little bit of divine timing. I had been thinking about one of my goals being for this year to travel. I've never done a retreat outside of the US. I've done quite a few in California. I've been to other spaces as a participant, but never as somebody who's like co-leading something. So this is super exciting for me to use my passport and actually go somewhere. I've never been to Mexico City. I've never been to Puebla, where we're going. So some of those are the reasons why I think personally for me, it's super exciting. But in regards to my mission really is to help wake Latinas up to who we really are and wake women up in general to who we really are. Because when we're connected to our inner power, that inner source of energy that we all have, that comes from our indigenous backgrounds, that comes from Mother Earth, right? No matter what the circumstances are, when we're connected to that power, we're unstoppable. We can create the lives that we want. And those lives don't have to come from more doing, more work, more hours, harder work, right? I think a lot of us have been taught if you work hard, you'll succeed. But that, many of us are discovering, doesn't really work out in the real world. You get tired of working hard. You just keep working over and over again. So one of my missions in life is to wake Latinas up to connecting with that inner power. I call it source. And when you're connected to source, you can find new ways to replenish yourself, to recharge yourself. That has nothing to do with more doing, not sending more emails or working harder or working more hours. You can actually learn to succeed, to hit your goals, doing less by practicing something I call being work. And I think that's a big part of what we're going to be doing in Encuentro. So that's why I'm excited. That's why I was like, oh, this is about going from chaos to calma, which is exactly what I teach my clients. So I'm like, oh, I could just show up and talk about what I normally talk on coaching calls with my clients about, right? A new way to tap into our own inner power. Plus, we get to have fun. We get to be in community. We get to travel. We get to have adventures, right? Somebody once told me that your intelligence actually increases every time you travel because new experiences build new neuron brain connections, literally, right? Every time you have a new experience, something that your brain has not experienced before. So going to new places, discovering new things, adventures where you don't know exactly how the day is going to end, but you're just in the flow. All of that is super powerful. So that's another reason that I'm excited to go and to support this group of women that we're going to call in to join us, because it's really about letting go of beliefs that no longer serve us, stepping into a new way of building and having fun. Actually like traveling together, building our community, right? Networking. And, I see us dancing in the street. That's my visual. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it'll happen.
Definitely calling that in.
Yeah.
Yes, it definitely will. So as you can tell, listeners, Wendy is fully 100% aligned with the mission behind Encuentro. She's speaking our language. We've been longtime observers of Wendy Amara and her work. Already was on our radar to get her on here as a guest. And then conversations sparked. And now I'm so excited to announce this partnership. So you all know that you're going to walk away with some really exciting nuggets of information that is going to ignite your passion, tap into your inner power so that I love the way you described it. Like we don't have to work harder because at the end of the day, it's the same 24 hours, right? Yeah. So we all got the same 24 hours. How do we make the most out of those 24 hours without depleting ourselves? So that is what we're going to explore. And thank you for calling out to some of the other elements of this retreat. This is about being in community with other powerful women and non-binary folks. This is about celebration. This is also about culture. We are going to be in such a wonderful cultural setting. And other things that we want to share is that we're tapping into some experts on the ground. We're going to be working with an archaeologist who's going to give us a tour of Puebla and Cholula. And along with that, we'll get some historical context about how long there's been civilization in Cholula and what folks were eating before the Spaniards came. So you're going to get that sort of context. And we're going to go to Puebla as well. And you're going to learn about the first library of the Americas, La Biblioteca Palafoxiana. We're going to eat incredible food. And then we're all doing this during the Cinco de Mayo celebration. Puebla is the only place in Mexico that truly goes all out for Cinco de Mayo. So there will be a parade. There's going to be a fair. There's going to be dancing in the streets, Wendy. I promise. We will deliver that for you.
Yes, that's what I want to see.
So I want to tell us a little bit about a preview of. I know we're in the dreaming up stages. We're going to also get some feedback and input from our participants to shape these sessions so that they're precisely what our cohort needs. But just to give us a sense, what sort of ideas are flowing right now when you think about the sessions for Encuentro, or when you think about when you start a coaching relationship with a new woman that wants to work with you?
Yeah. So we always start with gaining clarity, right? Gaining clarity on what it is you want, because that's usually the first place of, oh, okay, I know I want more of this and less of this. And even sometimes women are like, I don't really know what I want. And within a couple of questions, you can start to see an opening. Something start to emerge that is a clarity piece around, well, I do want to experience this, and this is working really well in my life, but I feel drained in this area, right? So even taking inventory of where you're at in your life, that leads to clarity. That's where we start. And then from clarity, we go to, okay, well, what's the why behind that clarity? Why do you want more expansion of time, for example? So one thing that a lot of women will come to me for coaching on is, I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm overwhelmed. And I feel like I don't have enough time. And so what we start working on is building a new relationship with time, for example. So we might look at a goal like, this is a common one. It's so sad that this is a common one, but it's a common one. Leaving work by 5 o'clock. What? That's a big one for a lot of clients that I coach, especially women in corporate America. They're like, if I just left at 3 o'clock or at 4 o'clock or 3 o'clock, if they start at 7 a.m., right? Sometimes they start at 7 a.m. Even if they're online, if they just close the laptop at the time that they're supposed to close the laptop and then go do something else, they'd be able to make it to the gym or go for a walk around the block or take a tennis class with their kids or whatever, spend quality time or make a nutritious dinner, all of the things that they really want. So we gain clarity on what that is. And then we look at, why is this important to you? What's your reason why? And I call that the vision. The vision or the mission statement, right? The thing behind, the thing that is really your heart-centered reason for why you want more time. So people can say, I want more time in the day. Okay, but really why? Because I want to deeply connect with my family, or I want to make my health a bigger priority, for example. Both of those are powerful reasons. Okay, so then we start looking at what's that. The reason I go to the vision and the mission, so this will be a question that I ask the women in the room, and we'll discover, each woman will go through their own process of discovering what their vision is. The reason I have them go through that process is because their vision is directly attached to source, which I was talking about a second ago, right? Source is like a battery that is always available to us. The moment we plug into source, we get an influx of energy. In fact, a lot of us felt it during these last couple of days because of what's been happening around Los Angeles, right? Time feels different. We're not in normal time, space. And I was looking up our indigenous ancestors, my indigenous ancestors, the Mayans. They had 2 different calendars. They actually had 3 different calendars. There's also this thing called the sun calendar, the moon calendar. And in Asian culture also, they have multiple calendars. One calendar usually dictates what is calendar time or linear time, right? The way we experience time, like day to day, like Monday through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then there's another calendar that's the sacred time. And that's when we experience time where time is either going really fast or really slow, but it's different. It feels different, right? There's a different feeling. Right now, a lot of us in LA, especially if you're in LA, you're probably experiencing sacred time. You're not in regular time in terms of your beingness. This is being work. And tapping into sacred time, which I think is what we do when we travel, that's a way to connect to source. So you have to slow down enough to connect to that source energy. When you connect to it, most people aren't aware that they're connecting to it. But when you do, you're actually resourcing yourself. You're gaining battery. It's like plugging the cell phone charger of you're the charger into that battery or into that plug so that you're able to then get that energy. Source is like a waterfall that's always flowing. It's just like water. It's always going, always going, always going. Our ancestors knew this. They tapped into the soil, right? And there's a frequency literally in the earth, in the soil. That's a frequency of vibration that's always going. It doesn't turn off. Woo! You could drink a glass of water. That water in your body is always going. You could breathe in. There's always oxygen. There's so many ways to tap into source. We're just not aware of it. All of us are doing it. We're not aware of it. So once we become aware, that's where the magic starts. You get clear on your vision. Everyone has one, because that's another thing women will tell me, like, what? I don't have a vision. I don't have a purpose, or I haven't found mine yet. And I'm like, no, you have one. Maybe you haven't been asked the right questions. And that's the power of having a coach, right? Especially a coach like myself, who's done this work for many years and also built my life around this work. Like, I practiced this. I learned this stuff so that I could change my own life because I was miserable. I was one of those women who couldn't turn off the laptop or finish work at 5 o'clock. So I would work till 7 p.m. and then be exhausted. But I had done all the things, right, that my parents told me I needed to do to be a successful daughter of immigrants, right? To make money, to, go to a good college, get a master's degree, get a good paying job. But I was exhausted all the time. And not only exhausted, dealing with anxiety, dealing with stress, right? Which was affecting my relationships, which, was affecting my ability to find a partner. And then my health started being affected. Oh, I fell into a depression where I wouldn't get out of my room for 5 days, all of that. And I know the majority of women listening to this have had those moments because it happens to all of us where we start to realize, ooh, this, story that I've been taught that this is the way to happiness, it's not really working out for me. There's got to be another way, right? And this is one of the other ways. What's exciting about us as women is that we're already connected to the earth. So it's easier for us to tap into vision, source, energy. Yeah. So it starts with clarity, and then we go to vision. And once you have your vision, then it's about learning how to stay connected to that so that you resource yourself, so that you prevent overwhelm. But even step one, to listen to the clarity question, you have to be calm enough. You have to have a centered nervous system, a regulated nervous system, enough to even hear the answers that are already inside of you. Yeah. So that's a little bit of what I plan to do.
Love it. That is so great. That is such an exciting preview. So folks, if that speaks to you, we're going to put the notes, the details in the notes of this episode. You've seen it all over our website. Go to the Encuentro tab on tamarindopodcast.com. You'll see all the information to join us. There's still time to sign up. But not unlimited time. Yeah. I'm telling you, we're getting close to selling out. So please, we want to make sure it's a nice, intimate group. So there isn't endless slots, but there are a few slots with your name in it. So please sign up, and we hope to have you. So with that, we're going to take a very quick break, and then we'll be right back talking to Wendy some more about how we can tap into that source. Okay, we're back with Wendy. So Wendy, again, what do you think people should be tuning into right now as they're considering this opportunity?
Yeah, if you're listening to this right now and you are exhausted, or you can feel that you're starting to get overwhelmed, or you're just tired of same old, right? You're not feeling that joy or happiness that you thought would come from the job or the family or the kids. You're just feeling this heaviness of responsibility. If you are tired, you need to join us on Encuentro. You need to join us at this retreat, because this will be the break that you need. Not only will it be a break, you're going to network with amazing women, and you're going to learn these tools that I'm talking to you about. There is another way to build. There is a whole nother way to live your life where you're not tired all the time, where you feel connected deeply to your family, to yourself, to your health, to your body, where you're actually building the life that makes you happy. That's 100% possible. But you need to slow down enough to hear yourself, hear that, inner voice that has the answers. So that's what we're going to do at Encuentro. Also, I wanted to remind everybody there are limited spots. So if this is speaking to you, if anything that I've said is like, yeah, it's time. Yes, this is your sign. It's time. It's time to come join us, fill out the application, and then we'll get moving on you joining us in Puebla.
Yes. And it's a full rounded experience because in addition to wonderful coaching from Wendy, in addition to the cultural tours that I talked about, the setting is incredible. We're at an incredible hotel. We're partnering with a wonderful wellness-centered hotel. So there also is going to be a great spa services that you can tap into, but we're doing group yoga, we're doing group guided meditation, group sound bath, and so many ways for you to really, truly have a restorative retreat and reset for 2025. Now, speaking of 2025 and thinking about 2025, I know this episode is coming out in January. This is the first episode of the year. This is the time where a lot of people think about their goals or thinking about their vision. And so if people want to be thinking about taking a quantum leap in 2025, what should they be learning about now, Wendy? What is it that you've got for folks on this quantum leap?
Yes, thank you so much, Brenda. I love all your powerful questions. In fact, January is the best time to take a quantum leap. So let me explain, first of all, what is a quantum leap? And then I want to invite you all to join me on the challenge for quantum leaping. It's called the 2025 Quantum Leap Challenge. There will be a link in the information show notes for this podcast for you to join me. It's a free challenge. And here's what we're going to do together. One of the things that I have figured out in this area called being work is that being work is really about feeling things in your body. It's about choosing thoughts, beliefs, feelings that are going to serve you, and then vibrating at that frequency. So with the quantum leap, what I use is water. Water is an amazing element in our body. And studies have actually shown, you can watch the film, What the Bleep Do We Know, where they talk about the studies that have shown that your thoughts, your beliefs affect water. Your energy affects the water you're holding in a glass, literally. So if you put the words gratitude, love, peace, the water looks different than if you put the words anger, hatred, unworthiness, right? It affects the actual water. So what we do with quantum leaping is we put our goals on water and we use gratitude as an energy to drink that water in and step into being the person who actually hits that goal. So for example, if by the end of the year, you want to buy a new car, that was actually 2 people said this in Inspired Action, my group coaching program yesterday. Both people were like, I want to buy a new car this year. That's my goal. Great. So you would put new car and maybe the type of car that you want on one of the glasses of water, and then your current car on the other glass of water. And we do this process using both of them to step into the person who buys your car. Not only that, we also then take action. So it's almost like you vibrate into that version of yourself. You become your future self now. That's the quantum leaping. And then you take action from that place. Because let's say your future car is, was a Lexus or something. Then who would you be being if you were driving a Lexus right now? Would there be any difference in how you show up in spaces? Could you go test drive a Lexus, right? There's like these action steps that you can take to start vibrating at that frequency of whatever you want to call it. So it's a manifestation tool, but more than that, it's a focus tool. And it's a tool to learn and practice being work. This work that I'm talking about where you connect to source in order to resource yourself so that you don't find yourself exhausted. And by the way, this is a much more fun way to actually hit your goals. So if you actually want to hit your goals and you want to have fun doing it, join us for the challenge for sure. It's super fun, super important time to join us. The challenge is going to take place January 20th through the 25th. You'll get a series of emails about it. So you'll get an email with a action step and a prompt that you need to follow. And then there'll be a community space where we can all share what's opening up for us. I'm super excited about it. My clients are already on fire about it. Many of them have done this process in a training I teach called the Future Self Experience. So they've already experienced what can open up for you. Yeah, we're kind of like playing with energy in a way, but also taking action, because I am an action-oriented coach. Like there is strategy in reaching your goals. You can't just sit and meditate and be in the frequency, right? It starts with that. That's the first place. And then you got to go take action. So it's also about taking action. I'm excited to help so many people hit their 2025 goals, especially all the people who quit. Did you know this? There's a quit date. In fact, I think it's the day we're recording this right now on the calendar where people quit their resolutions. Studies have shown that people make a resolution around the end of the year or the very beginning of the year. And then by day 10, they quit. Majority of the planet quits on their goals. Every year this happens. So if you're listening to this and you want that to be different, you have to be willing to do different work. Put yourself in a container that will hold that for you and teach you how to show up differently. And then you're going to get different results. Yeah, that's real transformation.
Yeah, I love this. This is sort of like let's get a redo. Let's
get
get
a reset, right?
A redo on setting those goals. A reset, but with I love that what you're saying, that it's like beyond the meditation and the vibration. It's really about focus. If we can get focused and stay energized and focused, kind of the reason we can keep focus is because you're going to help us visualize that, right? Go back to that source. But it is about the focus.
100%.
Like, what are the steps you're going to take to get there? And I love the idea too of this probably being a group, right? So there's going to be group accountability. That's always very helpful. I didn't realize it's free. Now that I know it's free, I'm going to sign up too.
Oh my God, yes. Send it to.
So y'all are going to listen to me.
Yes, all your listeners.
You'll get to hang out with me for that too.
It's all free. Please invite 20, 30 people. Yeah, I'm very committed to teaching this work to as many women as possible because it changed my life in such a profound way. So I always offer something free at some point where people can just join and participate and learn. But I will tell you, what really works is the consistency of practicing this work over and over again. Just like, if you know this, right, from your personal training, if you want to gain muscles like biceps or triceps, or if you want to like improve your stamina when, to run a marathon, let's say, you have to train. You have to practice. You have to show up at the gym, maybe work with a coach. You actually have to stretch, all of those things. Same thing with your way of being, with your mind, your thoughts, but also your spirit. The more you connect to who you really are, the more you can drop into your heart, the bigger that muscle gets of creation, of like, oh, I can create anything. Yes, that's what's powerful, is when people realize I really can create anything that I want. Yeah, whatever it is that you want, there's a way to get there, 100%. And I've seen this happen over and over and over and over again with people. You really can transform your relationship to your goals. And you can become the person who actually reaches them. So yes, share this with everybody so that they can start practicing this too. It does help to have a tight container, like what you said, do it in community. Because I also, for many years, was like, oh, I'm just going to read The Secret. And, I'm going to read a couple of books and then I'm going to know what to do. It wasn't until I was in a community that held me accountable that I actually followed through consistent. And the consistency is what changed my life.
So now, Wendy, because you're joining me for this full episode, what we do at the end is that we do something called our rapid fire questions. Now, these could be fun, they could be silly, they could be serious, whatever comes up. There's no right or wrong answer. We always talk about something we call our matraca. It's a Mexican sound maker. So we use it when we're celebrating something. So if you could think of something that you're celebrating, big, small, whatever it is, what is one thing you're celebrating?
At the end of 2024, I did a visioning process with my clients and I opened it up to alumni. And I hadn't done something that's kind of like all community, everyone's open. Like I have two main programs, Inspired Action and my mastermind. And usually I do things in each of those containers. Sometimes I bring them together. 55 women showed up and it was like, wow. And it just hit me. This is what I'm celebrating, is that I really have created this community of women who, one, they show up for each other, they support each other. I mean, the amount of support that they've been giving each other during this time, right? And some of them aren't here. Like some of my clients are in New York, are in Florida, different parts of the US. And in Inspired Action, we have clients in Spain, like they're all over. But the way they've been showing up in community to support each other, they really get that it's in the sisterhood of practicing these tools over and over again that we transform our lives. and that we can actually transform our lives through witnessing other women take courageous action. So I'm celebrating the community that is Inspired Action, the community that is my collective, the community that is our collective that my clients have created, right? Because at this point, it's not me. They're the ones holding it together. There's this like energetic space, like something was birthed and now it's just got its own heartbeat. It's just living on its own, right? I'm sure you probably feel similar with Tamarindo and the beautiful community you've created with Tamarindo that, yes, maybe at one point it was you holding it up, but now it's just this beautiful, energetic thing that is alive. And in December, I had that like visceral experience of realizing, oh crap, here it is. It's done. Like the community is here. Yeah. I love that. I fully feel aligned with my purpose and my mission in a really big way.
That's amazing. That's definitely something to celebrate. And along those lines, and you kind of said this earlier, I'm celebrating divine timing. Just the divine timing, the fact that you and I have been in each other's orbit and that the stars have aligned here and that you're such a perfect addition to this team and what is going to be happening in Puebla is just, and I think it's a result of divine timing. So you sometimes you have to listen to whatever it is that's calling you into like, let me reach out to this person. Let me talk to this person. Like, you never know what's going to happen. That's kind of how this happened. So it's really quite beautiful to witness it and experience it. So I'm going to have that be my matraca for now. Now, kind of opposite of that, what is something that you're throwing in la basura that's really kind of making you angry this week, that you're done with, that you're canceling, throwing away a la basura? What is one thing?
Yeah, the amount of hours I spend on social media. So I'm just minimizing, no completamente throwing it at the, a la basura, but minimizing like the feeling like I need to check in. I need to see what's happening. I need to be aware because really you end up just getting the feed of the same things over and over and over again, right? And that does affect you. It affects your anxiety. And when you're a holder of space for other people, even if it's just your family. Like I saw what happened yesterday and how my nervousness affected my children, my 3 kids. I have these 3 beautiful kids. I have twins.
Yesterday with the false alarm.
Yes, yesterday with the false alarm. It totally, my son started to cry. He had his backpack. He was in like a sweatshirt. He didn't even have like his jacket. And you could tell he wasn't thinking straight and his, nervous system was totally off and he was in fear mode. And I just held him. I was like, it's okay. It's okay. We're not going to run out. We're okay. I'm okay. Mommy's okay. Daddy's okay. You're okay. And I just held him in a way to calm him down. So I need to be aware of how things like social media or other aspects affect my anxiety. So I'm letting go of anything that deregulates my nervous system. Yes, that's what lo estoy tirando a la basura. Ya no más horas y horas haciendo cosas that don't really serve me, that don't calm me or don't feed my spirit or don't center me.
Very similarly, what I'm throwing in la basura is the rampant misinformation and lies that fuel this. That's part of the reason why we're this week, especially as we are seeing so much devastation in our beloved city, in our wonderful, gorgeous, amazing city that is a gigantic city. There's a lot of doom scrolling going on, and a lot of it is not serving us. In a way, it's kind of. I've been in awe about social media being such a helpful tool because all these funds are starting up, or we're disseminating helpful information. But along all of that, there's also the spread of lies, misinformation, and so this is just a reminder that we need to be responsible with what we share. Check your sources. There are journalists, journalists whose job is to verify information before they publish it. And let's pay for an LA Times subscription instead of spreading everything that you see on Nextdoor. Like let's be responsible with the way we consume media, and remember there are journalists in this world, and let's let them give us the information. So that's all. This just la basura to the misinformation and the lies, and to kind of echo, and Wendy, what you said is like recognizing when it's no longer serving us. That is not a basura. The basura is the stuff that doesn't serve us.
Right, exactly. Being mindful, right? Yeah. I totally
mindful. And then what is one thing that's giving you inspiration?
My clients always give me inspiration. I'm always so inspired by their courage, their willingness to do the uncomfortable thing, their willingness to look in the mirror, to really honestly look in the mirror, which is what we do in coaching. Every week that you show up in your coaching call, you're going to face the truth of who you really want to be and then your current you. And that uncomfortableness oftentimes is a lot for people. And so the courage that they have to be a yes to this work. I'm also inspired, and I'm starting to coach coaches because so many coaches come to me wanting to learn how I've been in business for so long, how I coach, because I coach from a particular angle of transformation, right? I'm a transformational coach, which is a little bit different than a change agent, or obviously different than like a counselor, therapist, or other kinds of work out there. And it's all important. You just got to find what really, gels to you and speaks to you. So the other thing that's inspiring me is the coaches, the women that I see being called to do similar work, that want to make an impact. That all comes from wanting to make an impact. Everyone that comes to me wants a better relationship with time and eventually wants to make more money. Yes. And then most importantly is they want to make an impact in their community. That's why they want to do the work. That's why they're like, I want to coach so that more women have access to this, or clients, or men, or whatever. My community benefits, right? It's all about, I'm going to send the elevator back down to bring 10 more women, 20 more women, 100 more women up. That is always so inspiring. I'm so inspired by women wanting to make an impact, not only in their family, but also in their community. That is leadership. That's how I define leadership.
Love it. That speaks to Tamarindo. That is what Tamarindo is, right? That this is all about. Tamarindo always started about illuminating the issues that impact our community, doing it in a way that calls people in, and then thinking about the next step, the action, what we're going to do. And then for the past several years, we've been thinking about how do we take care of ourselves so that we could be those better advocates for the community. So it's all very aligned, and I'm very excited to be working with you, Wendy. I will say that there's a couple of things that have been inspiring me this week. Back to the fires, just because it's consuming everything. Just the way that people have immediately activated to volunteer, to help, to organize, to donate, to start these funds, to share, open up their homes, open up their resources. That's been really beautiful and inspiring to see, and very moving. Also, and totally not related, but also I was very moved. I've been watching Queer Eye. The latest season of Queer Eye has been really phenomenal because it's focused on the working class families that fuel Las Vegas. And I saw a lot of Latino families in this season of the show, and I love it. It's one of the most, like, if you need right now to just kind of disconnect, if you don't want to doom scroll, if you want to feel good, please go watch the last season of Queer Eye, because you will walk away feeling moved, feeling inspired, and in its own way, this is another way to humanize the real life experiences of the people behind the scenes of everything. So that's why it's really a great and moving season, and I want you all to check it out. So thank you so much, Wendy. Any final thoughts for our listeners on this first episode of the year?
Yes, thank you so much, Brenda. Thank you so much for listening to your gut instinct and reaching out to me, right? Because this is all, people might think we've been talking for years, but this was like two weeks in the making. And the synergy that I felt the first time I talked to you was just like what you said, divine timing. I felt this sense of like, oh, this is my soul sister. This is just another, person out there who's wanting to make an impact. Can we support each other? Yes, this is a total win-win. So I appreciate you. I appreciate the Tamarindo podcast for having me share today a little bit of my journey. And I can't wait to meet the amazing women that are going to come with us on Encuentro, and also be in collaboration with you. So thank you so much, Brenda, for trusting me. Thank you for following your intuition. And I'm so excited for what we're going to create together.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you all. Talk to you at the next episode. Ciao. Ponte un suéter is what I say at the end of the episode. Tamarindo Podcast is Brenda Gonzalez and Delcy Sandoval. We are also the show's executive producers. Jeff Ricars wrote our theme song. Sonoro Media's Karina Riverol provides production support, and Cliva Torres edits our episodes for YouTube. The best way to support our work is to rate and review Tamarindo or share an episode with a friend. Get in touch with us at tamarindopodcast.com.
I'm not going to lie, you're slacking. You're slacking on starting that business you've been holding off on. It's just living in your head. And if you don't act now, that idea is going to leave, or maybe someone's going to take that idea. And there's a tool that I personally use, and that is Shopify. You don't need to be a web designer. You can just start moving, zooming in, adding the text you need, adding pictures you need. And Shopify has so many templates you can use from. Get it out of your head and onto a website with Shopify. Shopify makes it simple to create your brand, open for business, and get your first sell. They make it easy to manage growing your business. They help with details like shipping, taxes, and payments from one single dashboard, allowing you to focus on all the important stuff like growing your business. With Shopify, your first sell is closer than you think. Established in 2025 has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/sonoro, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/sonoro to start selling with Shopify today. Shopify.com/sonoro.